Hi and welcome to a new video. In this watercolor tutorial we're painting a cute deer. From now on I will upload a video every weekend, of which a tutorial once a month. If you don't want to miss any more videos, then don't forget to subscribe and help this channel grow. Thank you and have fun watching. This time my voice maybe sounds a little bit different because I'm doing this tutorial without a voiceover. I think this is the best way to do it. My pronouncements should be not always right, but I think you will understand me. Today we're gonna paint a deer because in the comments I had a request to paint cute animals. I think a deer will suit well. So first I show you the materials I want to use. And then we go in to sketching. I use the Canson watercolor paper. This is 300 grams and it's A5 format and it has 20 sheets. So it's a nice size. Because we paint a little bit smaller, the tutorial will not take too long. Also, I use my favorite palette and that is the Winsor&Newton Cotman. I never clean the top. I love the muted colors. So that's we will use. Then I have the Faber Castell colored pencils. These are oil-based, so not wax-based, and much harder than Caran d'Ache or Bruinzeel. Okay, let's start. On my iPad I have some cute pictures of deers. They are from unsplash.com, so it's for inspiration. But I will tell you what I do and you can follow along. So I found one at the top. I think this one is very nice. Deers have so cute big eyes. So I want to try this, but not too realistic, but a little bit more simple. This is the reference I want to use. For the sketching you can use HB pencil, just a normal one, or an H. They are harder, so easier to erase. I will use the pencil grapher. This is a mechanical pencil that you can fill and I'm using the HB. And it's the pencil grapher 1000 from Pentel. So let's go sketching. First we are doing the outline of the head. I start a little bit below the middle because the deer has antlers and I want to put them in. So I'm first starting with a little bit of a rounder shape. And then the head is more like triangle form, but upside down. So I want to make that. The antlers will come out of these bumps. But first I go look where the eyes should be. I think they are just above the middle in the head. And the nose will be in the lighter part. This is his mouth. He has a little cute chin underneath. So we're making that. And he has a big, I'll show you, a very big nose in the shape of a heart. So I want to include that, but make it a little bit more heart-shaped. Not too much, but I think it's much cuter. Then the nostrils, I think the name is. Also the deer has very big ears in like a leaf shape. So if you can draw a leaf, you can draw also his ears. So, now the other side. They don't have to be exact copies of each other. The deer can turn his ears around, so don't worry. Also, the deer has little fluffs in his ears, not in his eyes, in his ears. But I'm not drawing them all. I'm just indicating where they should be. And then we are doing the neck. It's a male deer, so he has a very strong big neck because they are fighting for the females. So I'm including the big neck. But if you want to draw the deer a bit cuter, you can also do a smaller neck, just what you like. You can make a baby or a girl. So, and then the antlers. Starting with the smaller part, just with very light pressure, because maybe I want to erase them or replace them. So, and then a bigger one, more curved, at the top. On the other side too. If I sketch too fast for you, don't worry, you can always pause the video if you want. I'm noticing that I connect this part, but it's the same antler, so I don't want to erase too much. So I'm just connecting them. They are not the same height, but I think that I like that because in nature not everything is perfectly symmetrical, so it makes the deer more natural, more realistic. Good. The eyes. The eyes are the most important part, I think, of the illustration. You can make cute eyes or realistic eyes. First, I can show you some eyes. I will erase them, but do what you want. You can draw cute, how do you call this shape? Like half a circle, a longer half circle. I think that's very cute. You also can make a round eye with a cute pupil. You can do that. You can also give the deer lashes if you want and make them even cuter. But I will show you what I'm gonna do. And that is include more of a realistic shape. So the eyes of the deer are very much on the side of the head. Also, this you can make the lashes. And the big eyes are underneath. So again, the half circle, but a bit longer. I think we now have a very nice base to start with the watercolor. But first I will erase the sketch a little bit using a kneaded eraser. I have this one. A kneaded eraser is handy because if I erase with a normal eraser, you can easily erase everything. But with this, we roll. And rolling just over the sketch to make it a little bit more lighter. If you don't have a kneaded eraser, you can use the normal eraser, but be careful you don't erase everything. So, that's great. So the sketch is there, but much lighter. Also, it can be your style to see the sketch line underneath your painting. I think it's very beautiful. You can see the whole process in your mind. Okay. This time I'm not using my water brush. I used this one very often. It's one of my favorites. But this time I'm using normal watercolor pencils. These ones are from Da Vinci and I'm using the 6 and the 2. So this time I need water. So I'm starting with the big one. Also I have a paper towel. This is an old one, you don't have to throw them away, it's better for the environment. So I will use that to dry my pencil. But first let's wet our pencil or brush. And we're starting with a light wash. So I think I'm gonna dip in a warmer brown tone and mix it on my palette. A little bit more water. And a little bit of cooler tone, mix it in, and then start with the first wash, very light. A bit more water. I'm just wiggling around with my pencil. I'm not trying to be too precise. Taking a little bit more water and go over the edges so they are fading. It's so nice of a watercolor. This is just a base layer. We're going to mix in much more browns. Also, if you join me painting this deer, I'd be very curious how it turned out. So if you have Instagram, you can tag me at frameables.nl and use the hashtag Frameables tutorial so I can see your work. Would be very nice. Now the top of the ears, this is the darker part, but we are starting also here with a light wash. Lately I'm painting a lot on my iPad, but I love watercolor so much. Also around the nose, we're doing a little bit of color, just a little bit. And on the chin. With only the first wash you can see that a little bit of the deer takes shape. Now we're going in with a darker color. So I'm picking a darker brown and mix it in. A little bit more water. And only apply this at darker parts and slowly building up the color. Starting at the ear. I don't apply this everywhere because I think it's very nice when you see the layers below. So I'm just making some little hairs and strokes. Not everywhere the same strokes. So, what I've left on my brush I do on the underside of the ear. With a little bit more water. And also including a little bit of the fluffy ears. So I'm just lightly pressing on my brush and feathering the paint inwards. Also on the other side. makes it a little bit more fluffy. Connect the ears to the head. Okay. Then we're making a little bit more paint, the darker brown color, but still a lighter wash. And beginning at the top of where the antlers connect. Mixing in a little bit of reddish brown. And adding that, connecting it to the brown. Little bit of fading, blending with the layer underneath. The nice thing about watercolor is that your layers above blend a little bit with the layers below, so it's very nice. And I want this more reddish shade also in the neck, but on one side. And fading underneath with only adding a little bit of water. Also above. Just swipe with a wet brush and dab it on your paper towel. Now it's time for a little bit more of the darker color. So we're mixing in the darker shades of brown. And I will show you. Just here there are a little bit of darker places, so we want to put that in. And also a little bit more on the ears. First with the eye sockets. Placing the paint, then wipe my brush, make it wet. And then fade it a little bit. Don't make it too wet because it will give little blooms. Bloom shapes when it's dry. It could be very beautiful, so if you want that, then make your brush a little bit wetter, more wet. But I don't want that. So just blending. Now on the ears. The shadows is in the corner, so there is it most dark. And also with this color we're doing the first layer of the nose. With the nose you can be a little bit more precise. Making the rounds of the heart shape. And then gently filling it in. Oh, how cute. So, connecting it with the tip of your brush. So cute. I hope your painting is doing well. And the worst thing that can happen is that you don't like it and you have to throw one paper away. But I would recommend you to not do that, because if you step away and look back, you will see where you could improve with your watercolor painting, so you can learn from it. But I think you're doing alright. Let's do a bit of the antlers. First we're beginning with a darker shade. You also can give the deer a red nose to make it a little more like Rudolph the reindeer. And then a lighter, more pinkish shade. A little bit more yellow to make it more orange. And with that we're blending out what we have. Also, if you have any recommendations, let me know in the comments down below. Oops. I see I smudge a paint with my hands. But no problem, you can fix it when it's still wet. So. Now doing the other side, taking the lighter color. Don't smudge it again. Just applying it. A little bit more of a darker shade on this side. Also on the other side. Now I think it's time to do the eyes, because when we do the eyes, the deer will come more to life. So I start with that, but I think I'm taking the smaller brush for this. I'm mixing a very dark shade with brown. And I'm using a darker blue. I don't use black because black is more, it will flatten your painting. So now I have a very dark color. And I will put in one eye first. Make the top. And now I wet my brush, taking only a dark brown color. And leave some space for the highlight in the eye. Beautiful big eyes. Also on the other side with just a dark brown. And leaving a space open for the highlight of the eye. Then we're taking the dark color we just made with the brown and the blue. And we're putting it in the nostrils. I think you call them so, but I don't know. With the little holes in the nose. Because the light can't come there, so it's darker. And I'm also doing this with a smaller brush. Now we go working on the head, putting in some darker shades. And like more reddish tones. Just leaving a little bit open. Taking some more dark. So I think I want to do the nose a little bit bigger. So I'm picking a dark brown. And just extending the nose. Like this. A little darker. Leaving the top open, like a little highlight on his nose. And after this, when it's dry, we make the nostrils also a bit larger. I think it's very cute, such a big nose. I want to do a little bit more on details on this side, on the cheeks. I'm picking a reddish brown for that. Not too much. Paint, a little bit more water. And making loose strokes. Also in the neck. Not every stroke has to be the same. You can vary. I don't know how to say that. But you can vary with it. It's very, not a boat. So, on the other side we're doing a cooler brown tone. But in the same way. A little bit more water. And just fading out what we have. Now the deer's coming a little bit more together. I want a little bit of a yellowish orange tone underneath the chin. So I'm mixing some yellow with some orange and some brown. To warm it up a little bit. Just a little bit, leaving some white open. Also putting this like a glaze on the ears. Just a little bit more color. I like that more than only the brown tones. Just a light wash. It's called glazing. And also with the dark brown, I go shape the outside of the ear to give it a little bit more contrast. Just like that. A little bit more with mostly only paint. Making some details. Now we're going to darken up the nose with brown and the blue again, making a dark shade. Only the underside of the nose, because the light's falling on the top of the nose because it's round. So only doing the underside, connecting it with the nostrils. Take your time for this. Blending it a little bit together. And now with the same shade, I'm defining also the mouth. So mixing the brown, again with the blue, making a dark color, making evenly water and paint, mixing. And then with just the tip of your big brush, or use the smaller brush, you can make the line of the mouth, connecting it to the nose. The last thing I want to do is, I think, put some little bit of color in the ears, on the fluffy part, and make this white part a little bit more blended. So with only using water, I'm dabbing my brush on the paper towel so that it's not too wet. I'm just activating the sides of the paint that we have around the nose and mixing it in the paper. Just gently go around the nose because the nose is wet. And then just gently around. Also a little bit under the mouth. Blending it a little bit, making shadow. I'm putting a little bit of orange-red shade on the chin to make it pop. Also blending that a little bit more dark. Blending that in with the orange. I think we almost done with the watercolor. I want to put a little bit of light pinkish reddish wash in the ears, but not everywhere, just on some places. Using very much water and less paint. And then just, I think that's too much. Just only glaze a little bit in the ear. Just a little bit like this. And if it's too much, you just dab with your paper towel and it will disappear and you can do it over. Also putting a little bit of this glaze on the cheeks, because I think it's cute when there's a little bit of blush. And to make the antlers a little bit more interesting, I want to use a little bit of blue. I am taking a reddish blue, and just on the sides where the shadows are, I'm putting that in to make it darker and more interesting. I'm not putting it everywhere, only in some places. I think that's enough. Maybe also a little bit of blue in the coat, in the fur, just a little bit to make it more cohesive and darken it a little bit up, like this. A little bit on the ear. Just on some random places you like. Maybe a little bit under the mouth as a shadow. Or a little bit in the eye, in the highlights, to make it less pop, but more like the light from the sky is reflecting in his eyes. Like this. I think I'm done with watercolor, but you can tweak it if you want with the colors you like, make it a little bit more darker, putting in some extra details. But I want to go in with my pencils. So I'm picking some colors. I'm going in with Mauve, number 249 of Faber Castell polychromos. And I'm going to define the eyes with this. Just putting some shadow behind the eyeball and making some shadows. I like it when a watercolor painting has some pops of color. But if you prefer brown colors or reddish tones, you can do that too. Putting it in some different places. Also on the ears. Giving it a little bit more texture. Make it more interesting. Just draw little strokes of hair. On the other side, I'm doing a blue 153. Doing this one on the other side. Making, not eyebrows, but hairs on the bigger part of the bone structure from the eyeball. And also a little bit in the coat. And maybe a pop of color in the eye again. Now I'm taking some pink, 124, and I'm going to give the nose a little bit of a touch of color. Also a little bit in the ears. I want to share my favorite colored pencil color with you, and that is Carpet Mortem and Carpet Mortem Violet from Faber Castell. This is a beautiful color that goes with everything. So I'm putting more details in, making more hairs and defining some shapes with this pencil. Also making parts of hair here. Just vary with your shapes, because it makes much more interesting. Just go left and right, making strokes. Little bit of brown to make more fluffy, and shading a little bit by the cheek. And now making little clumps of hairs on his forehead with a brown color, but you can also use violet or red if you want more color in there. You can also make a background with just a layer of color or some leaves or a beautiful sky. Or you can maybe for Christmas put some light in the antlers, some Christmas lights with different colors like green and red and yellow. I think that will be very cute. I'm not doing that in this tutorial because it will be very long, but you can try. Little bit of in the nose and in the ears again. Now I want to put in some highlights. I'm doing that with the posca pen, just on the nostrils, because there's coming the light. On the underside of his eye, where the eyelid is. And then just a little bit of scratches in the horns, in the antlers. Just here and there. Don't make the same shapes everywhere. Just like that. Little scribbles. You can also do some loose hairs with white. And if you want to paint more, I have also a tutorial where we paint a mushroom. So that's very nice too. So if you want, I will link it in the description. And let me know what you think of this tutorial. If you have any tips, it would be very nice. A little bit of hairs on the chin. You can also try this with a white colored pencil. It's not so vibrant as a posca marker or paint, but it will do the job. A little bit of hairs in the ears, making them more fluffy. I'll show you how it looks with white. Just glazing over the nose, making it a little bit more lighter. Just a few pops of highlights, but not too heavy. I think that's enough. Maybe a little bit more bluish tone in the shadow of the nose to make it more interesting. But you still can use dark brown colors here. Or black if you have not many light parts left. So I think we can call this painting done. I hope it went well with your painting too. I'm very happy with how this turned out. And I'm curious to see your paintings. So let me know. Tag me on Instagram or use the hashtag Frameables tutorial so I can see your paintings. And hopefully I see you next time. Bye!